What would you do if the place you called home, the sanctuary you built with your own hands, was torn apart by those who claimed to protect it? For Elias Caldwell, that question wasn't hypothetical, it was the spark that ignited a firestorm of rage, betrayal, and a vengeance so calculated it would leave an entire community reeling. This is the story of a man pushed too far, a neighborhood blinded by its own rules, and a reckoning that no one saw coming. Elias had lived on the edge of Willow Creek for 20 years. His small cabin, nestled among ancient oaks, was more than a homite, was a testament to his resilience. After losing his wife, Mara, to cancer a decade earlier, Elias had poured his grief into building a life of quiet solitude. The creek that ran through his property was his lifeline, its gentle babble a reminder of Mara's laughter. To cross it, he'd built a wooden bridge, hand-carved and sturdy, a labor of love that connected his world to the outside. It wasn't just a bridge. It was a monument to survival. The Willow Creek Homeowners Association, or HOA, had other ideas. They'd moved into the area 5 years ago, transforming the once rural landscape into a gated paradise of manicured lawns and million-dollar lakes. The HOA's president, Cassandra Whitmore, was a woman of unrelenting ambition, her smile as sharp as a blade. She saw Elias's property unkempt, rustic, defiant, a blemish on her vision of perfection. The bridge, in particular, was an eyesore to her. "It's not up to code," she declared at a community meeting, her voice dripping with authority. "It's a liability." One sweltering July morning, Elias woke to the roar of bulldozers. He stumbled outside, heart pounding, to find his bridge reduced to splinters. Cassandra stood nearby, clipboard in hand, watching the destruction with a satisfied smirk. "It's for the good of the community, Mr. Caldwell," she said, not meeting his eyes. Elias stood frozen, the weight of loss crashing over him like a tidal wave. The bridge wasn't just wood and nails, it was Mara, it was memory, it was home. And they'd torn it apart without a second thought. That night, Elias sat in his darkened cabin, staring at the creek through his window. The water glistened under the moonlight, whispering secrets of its own. He thought of the HOA's pride and joy, their artificial lakes, engineered to reflect their wealth and status. 2 sprawling bodies of water, fed by a network of pumps and channels, all meticulously designed to impress. Elias knew those lakes better than anyone. Years ago, he'd worked as a contractor on their construction, mapping the underground pipes that kept them alive. He knew their weakness, a plan formed, born of fury and precision. Elias wasn't a vengeful man by nature, but the HOA had crossed a line. They'd taken something sacred, and he would make them pay. He spent days gathering supplies, tools, maps, a sledgehammer. He worked in secret under the cover of night, his movements silent and deliberate. The creek became his ally, its flow guiding him to the heart of the HOA's empire, the main pump station that fed their precious lakes. But there was someone else watching. Lila Gwynn, a young landscaper hired by the HOA, had noticed Elias's late-night excursions. Lila was an outsider in Willow Creek, her modest background a stark contrast to the community's opulence. She'd taken the job to save for college, but she'd grown disillusioned with the HOA's arrogance. One night, curiosity got the better of her. She followed Elias, her footsteps muffled by the soft earth, and saw him crouched by the pump station, wrench in hand. Instead of reporting him, she stepped forward. "What are you doing?" she whispered, her voice trembling but resolute. Elias froze, his heart racing. He hadn't planned for witnesses, but something in Lila's eyes, compassion, defiance, made him pause. "They destroyed my bridge," he said, his voice low and raw. "They took everything. I'm taking something back." Lila hesitated, then nodded. "I'm in," she said, surprising even herself. She'd seen the HOA's cruelty firsthand, the way they bullied anyone who didn't fit their mold. This was her chance to push back. Together, they worked. Lila's knowledge of the HOA's landscaping plans helped Elias navigate the pump station's maze of pipes. They found the main valve, a hulking piece of machinery that controlled the lake's water supply. Elias raised his sledgehammer, but Lila stopped him. "There's a better way," she said, pointing to a control panel. "We can reroute the flow, drain the lakes into the creek. They'll never know it was us." Her plan was brilliant, subtle, devastating, untraceable. For 3 nights, they toiled in secret. Elias disabled the pumps, rerouting the water to the creek, while Lila covered their tracks, replanting grass and smoothing over disturbed soil. The lakes began to shrink, their pristine surfaces turning to mud. By the 3rd night, the HOA's crown jewel was a wasteland, the water gone, the pumps dry. Elias stood by the creek, watching the water surge with newfound strength. For the first time in weeks, he felt alive. But the victory was short-lived. Cassandra was no fool. She suspected sabotage and hired a private investigator, a wiry man named Victor Kane, who had a reputation for sniffing out trouble. Victor was relentless, combing through security footage and interviewing residents. He noticed Lila's late-night absences and confronted her. "You're hiding something," he said, his eyes narrowing. Lila's heart pounded, but she held her ground. "I'm just a landscaper," she lied, her voice steady. Victor didn't buy it, but he had no proof yet. The HOA was in chaos. Residents screamed about property values, their perfect lakes now a muddy embarrassment. Cassandra called an emergency meeting, her face pale with rage. "Someone did this," she spat, her eyes scanning the room. Elias attended, his expression blank, his heart a storm of guilt and triumph. Lila sat in the back, her hands trembling. She hadn't signed up for this level of scrutiny, but she couldn't abandon Elias now. Then came the twist. Victor, digging deeper, uncovered an old email from Cassandra herself. Years ago, before the HOA's expansion, she'd authorized the destruction of a wetland to build the Lakisa decision that violated environmental laws. The email was buried in an archive, but Victor's tenacity brought it to light. He didn't care about Elias or Lila. He cared about the truth. He leaked the email to the local paper, and the scandal erupted. The HOA's lakes weren't just drained, they were illegal. Cassandra's empire began to crumble. Elias and Lila watched from the sidelines as the community turned on itself. Residents demanded Cassandra's resignation, lawsuits flew, and the HOA's funds dwindled. But the victory felt hollow. Elias returned to his cabin, the creek now swollen with the lake's stolen water. He thought of Mara, of the bridge, of the man he'd become. Revenge had felt righteous, but it hadn't brought her back. Lila, too, was shaken. She'd wanted to fight the HOA's arrogance, but the chaos she'd helped unleash left her questioning her own choices. One evening, as the sun set over the creek, Elias found a letter slipped under his door. It was from Lila. "I'm leaving Willow Creek," she wrote. "I thought I was helping you, but I lost myself in the process. I'm sorry." Elias stood by the creek, the letter crumpled in his hand. He'd won, but at what cost? The creek flowed stronger now, but it carried no comfort. The HOA was broken, Cassandra disgraced, but Elias's bridge was still gone, and so was the man he used to be. The community never recovered. The lakes remained dry, a scar on the landscape, a reminder of hubris and retribution. Elias stayed in his cabin, a ghost among the oaks, haunted by the weight of what he'd done. The creek whispered on, indifferent to the wreckage it had carried away.